Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Akzo Nobel India Q4 FY23 earnings webinar hosted by ICICI Securities Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator.
Ani Faizan, is there an audio issue? Manoj here. Please, I lost the audio. Rajiv, can you hear me? Manoj here, sir. I think you're on mute. Rajiv, I think you're on mute.
Sir, am I audible?
Faizan, yes.
Sir, were you able to hear my opening? Sir, we are not able to hear you.
Rajiv, I think you're on mute, sir. I could see your audio symbol being mute here. I think all three of you, I could see the audio to be mute, at least on the screen.
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes, please go ahead.
No, Faizan, I think there is an issue with the audio from the management side. I think, Faizan, we need to sort it out before we start because I'm not able to hear anything from Gurgaon.
Rajiv, sir, am I audible to you?
Rajiv, may I request, even if it's take a minute or two, would you want to log off and come back? Maybe that's one option.
Rajiv, sir, please unmute your audio from your side. Yes.
Can you hear us now?
Now I can hear you, sir.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Okay, Faizan, leave it to me now. Hi everyone. It's a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, depending on the part of the world you're joining this call from. Representing ICICI Securities, this is Manoj Menon here. I cover consumer sector here. It's our absolute pleasure to host the, as usual, the quarterly results conference call of Akzo Nobel India. It is Q4 FY23 results webinar today. The management is represented by Mr. Rajiv Rajgopal, Managing Director, Mr. Krishna, our Chief Financial Officer and Whole-Time Director, and Ms. Harshit Togi, Company Secretary and Compliance Officer. As usual, we'll have a brief presentation by the team, the management team, post which we'll open up the floor for Q&A. Rajiv, Krishna, Harshit, over to you, sir.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, can you hear me, Manoj?
Sir, you're audible. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So good evening to all our investors. Delighted to be here for the Q4 and the full year, results. We've just announced our results after our board meeting. I'm delighted to be here along with Krishna and Arshi to walk you through the numbers. Arshi, could we have the slides, please? Just for some minutes. Yeah. Can you see the slides now? Anirudh, Manoj, can you see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Lovely. Okay. So, well, the first slide is really the visit of our global CEO, Greg Poux-Guillaume, who had visited India just a few months back, and you are seeing him along with, other senior members of the region and India to sort of walk him through the Thane factory, right? So that's really what the video, the frame is about, the photo is about, right? What you can see is the fact that Greg had come to India. He had a three-day visit with India, with meeting customers, meeting different markets, and really this entire story is about saying, how we can invest in India. What really delights me is the fact we've got a CEO who is absolutely delighted and is really wanting to drive India to the next level. Yeah. So quickly on the slides, for the benefit of those people who joined me for the first time, a little about us. Akzo Nobel India is a listed entity, part of the Akzo Nobel NB group. We've got about 1,500 employees, 5 offices. We've got 5 manufacturing sites, and we are doing a lot of work on capacity augmentation as we speak, and expansion plans to make sure that we are seen as a serious player in the paint industry. We are focused on scaling up distribution, both online and offline channels, and really our intent is to try and see how we can increase our coverage. When I joined this company in 2013, we were available in less than 2,000 towns. As of today, we are almost in 5,000 towns, and really our intent is to see that how do we really start becoming a very significant player as we move forward, right? We today cover almost about 20,000 paint retailers, and about 4,000 B2B customers. We've got a world-class innovation center. We support the global automotive and specialty coatings through our work in Bangalore. And we are also inaugurated 2 years ago what we call the Low-Cost Innovation Center in Thane R&D. What is Low-Cost Innovation Center? To create differentiated products that we will start bringing to South India, South Asia, Southeast Asia, markets like that, where we will have innovations where we can start differentiating and also focus on driving sustainability as we start moving forward, right? On the business environment, I think all of us sort of read the same newspaper, so I'll hurry. You've seen that as far as the world is concerned, India continues to be a bright spot. So I must say that, obviously, if I were to look at the predictions or projections about a year ago for the year, and now it's slightly contrasted, and that we are seeing it. However, suffice to say that we are seeing a good uptick. There is a softening of raw material prices, which augurs well as we move ahead. But again, there is still a lot of volatility and uncertainty given the sort of gloom that exists because post the Ukraine war, etc. Yeah, FX volatilities continue to persist, as all of you know that currency, besides the entire crude oil price, plays a huge role in deciding our pricing. To quickly remind all of us on the strategy drivers, so that in the AGM I will cover in terms of what next. Really we've been focusing around 6 pillars. Focus on brand building. Maybe need to invest more, and you'll start seeing that as we start moving ahead, as I've told you this year onwards, significantly over a period from now to 2026. So looking at how do you really drive focus on the core, how do you create differentiation, how do you win in adjacencies. Delighted to see the work happening on portfolio. And if I could request all the participants to be on mute, please. So after the presentation, we'll open it up. On distribution, we've been sort of looking at both online and offline. Offline, as I mentioned to you, we've increased our footprint. One of the good news is in the first 5 months of the year, our distribution, we've almost covered the number of retailers we did the whole of last year. This is the first time we've achieved this feat, so it's a fantastic achievement. Augurs very well as we enter into the season, which I believe will be quite a swing this year compared to the prior years because of the later Diwali. We are also seeing a good build-up on our e-commerce platform, digitization. As all of you have seen, we are working on global CRM tools, IoT in our manufacturing sites, and also digital first approach for consumers and painters in order to create readiness as more players get into the market. Yeah. Initiatives on value creation to continue our double-digit profitability. You've seen the results of the full year. Yeah, our profitability, EBIT margins have been significantly ahead of many players. And on people, we are a people business, so how do we really imbibe a people culture, a centric culture? One of the things that I'm committed to has been to move a lot of my team members into larger roles, both in Akzo Nobel and also make sure when people are doing roles, they get enriched. Yeah, that's the true value of what we add back to individuals who work in this team. And innovation, really, how do we bring the power of science to the magic of paint? Yeah. Quickly on the quarter gone by, before Krishna runs through the financials and I run through it. Yeah. So we've had a good quarter, a 10-digit, double-digit growth, almost a 10% growth. The B2B arena saw a little sharper growth. Nevertheless, both paints and coatings together have delivered a 10%. Yeah. Across different businesses, slightly differently. In the retail business, we saw faster growth this time in the smaller towns than in the larger urban towns. Premium has grown significantly high double-digit for us. Yeah, we had some challenges in some of the economy segments which we are addressing as we move forward. Marine and protective, phenomenal orders from coastal navy, and also oil, gas, and infrastructure segments have done well. Powder coatings, we've seen strong growths in automotive GTC segments, and Interpond's Stone Effect range has got launched. In our industrial coatings, yeah, we've seen coil, which was impacted this quarter because of a high base and also lower exports. Largely Sri Lanka and Bangladesh getting a bit of an impact. Packaging segment was driven by our consumer FCG and ink business, and in automotive we've seen premium growth and the OEMs accelerated as you've seen the OEM results, but we've had a subdued commercial vehicle sort of a quarter. Yeah, so that's really on it. On the next slide, you can see some of the launches. I've talked about it. It's written in many of the sort of each quarter results. Some of our growth drivers. As we speak, we are just launching our PU Satin products. We are bringing a lot of products between now and Diwali, which I mentioned to you. We've also seen our DIY products, which has started getting a good uptick on Amazon, right? And we obviously partner on seconds with McLaren Mercedes, as you know, and you can see some of the work that we did. Proud of the fact that we are associated with Vande Bharat. We are associated with the Statue of Unity. We are associated with the entire coating of the warship that sort of got designed, right? INS Vikrant, right? Where we played a role. It just goes to show that, and we are also coating. We are also a large player in coating the Central Vista, right? So clearly, I think our products are world class, and that's been the power of it, of why we believe we can stay ahead. And we also start now playing in meaningful segments where growth is coming in. Yeah. So I'll hand it over to Krishna and then come back. So Krishna, just sort of high level before I hand it over to you. So quarter saw 10% growth and EBIT margin growth of 32% and a PAT growth of 28%. Krishna, why don't you add the color from the financials?
Thanks, Rajiv. Q4 performance has helped us to achieve a strong finish for the great year. We have reported around 951.4 crores for the quarter as a top line, which represented 10% year-on-year growth. Coming from the
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. The audio is not clear from your line, sir.
Okay. So 10% YOY growth is coming from robust demand in both the B2B and the B2B segments and the paints and coatings. Our gross margin for the quarter was the highest ever, attributed to our timely pricing actions which we took earlier last year, and supported by the RM prices which we are seeing a downward trend. And this coupled with our controls on the judicious cost management and the controls on that translated into 32% growth. Both GM percentage and LP percentage improved on a year-on-year as well as the sequential. Profit after tax was at 95.4 crores, which is up by around 28%. If I exclude the last year exceptional income of 2 crores in the Q4 of 21-22, the PAT growth should have been around 31%. Going to the next slide. Coming to the full year performance, it was a stellar year for us, with a record performance in absolute terms across the revenue, gross margin, and EBIT. Strategic drivers alluded by Rajiv earlier enabled us to bring strong product portfolio, increase in reach, and improve the efficiencies. Decorative paints growth came largely from many launches this year, as well as the projects business. Coatings growth was a key beneficiary of growth in the core sector, industries, and the auto sector. While RM prices softening started earlier part of the calendar year, benefits of margins was slow to come. Nonetheless, we continue to maintain the double-digit profitability at 11.6%. PAT growth for the year was around 16%. However, if I exclude the last year exceptional items of around one-off tax provision reversal of 16.8 crores, like-to-like basis, PAT growth was at 24%. Moving to the next slide. Happy to report that the OWC as a percentage of revenue remains one of the strongest in the industry, and reducing from 10% in March 22 to 6.8% in March 23. Our focus remained on the cash and the improvement in the cash generation cycles. With this cash generation cycle and the OWC controls, we ended the year with a liquidity of around 314 crores. Our record performance has also translated into the stronger shareholder returns. For the current year, a final dividend of 40 rupees per share was proposed, which aggregates to a total dividend of 65 rupees per share.
Yeah, so first and foremost, big thank you to the entire team for a fantastic performance. Clearly, one of the strongest years we've had, and laying the foundation for what I call is going to be, establishing us as not just a serious player or a serious contender, but making sure that all our investors understand the sort of work that we are putting in ahead of the serious competition that we see ahead. On ESG, again, another area that we take with great seriousness and pride. We've already moved to 10% recycled plastics in containers ahead of the PWM rules. We are progressing towards 50% renewable, and we are trying to hit our targets by 2025, 34% currently. We are already zero liquid discharge and zero waste to landfill. We are, as you all know, we are certified as a great place to work. We've come amongst the top manufacturing companies. We've also worked very closely in our CSR and great work being done by the team there, led by Harshi. 3,700 plus youth and painters trained in 2023. We provide education to about 6,000 plus children, and something that I'm really passionate about, which is not mentioned on the slide, is the fact that we are empowering women through a project that we've talked about called Indradhanush, where we really started moving into 3 states, where we've started providing livelihood to women through our paints and painting opportunity services. Right? We've been conferred and commended for significant achievement in CSR at the CSI ITC Sustainability Award 2022, and you can see Arshi along with a colleague receiving the award from Mr. Nitin Gadkari. In terms of governance, we pride ourselves of having the highest standards of corporate governance. For those of you who've seen our results today, you see some of the annexures, you clearly see that even an iota of doubt we very clearly bring it in a very transparent manner. I think our auditors also love that. We challenge ourselves in terms of saying how are we building a safer tomorrow, and how are we creating a stronger governance for making sure the organization is sustainable. And some of the questions that investors asked me when I got into the role are behind, because ultimately processes have to drive results. So 50% we've got independent directors, 100% independent audit committee, and we are governed by the Akzo Nobel Code of Conduct, which in my view is gold standard. Right. So with this, I would just like to conclude, but before I conclude, I also would like to take this opportunity to give a big thank you to Harshi Rastogi. Harshi Rastogi has been our company secretary, as all of you must have read. She has a personal ambition of moving back into the finance area, and also has got an offer with a fantastic opportunity. And as we believe that we like individuals to grow and fly, sad for us, but we are right now looking at a successor, and we will try and make sure that we find someone to fill Harshi's shoes, though they are very big. So big thank you, Harshi, for all the wonderful work that you've done, and really happy to take any questions that all of you have now. So over back to you for the Q&A.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. To ask a question, please click on the raise hand button on the toolbar or the Q&A tab and click raise hand. The operator will announce your name when it is your turn to ask a question. Please unmute your webcam and microphone while proceeding with your question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. To ask a text question, you may click on the text tab available on the top on clicking the Q&A tab and type your question. Reminder to the participants, to ask a question, please click on the raise hand button on the toolbar or the Q&A tab and click raise hand. The operator will announce your name when it is your turn to ask a question.
Faizan, Manoj here. I'll take a couple of questions which have come in the text option. Team, there's a question from Mr. Hemant Shah. How was the demand in T1, T2, T3 towns in Q4?
Yeah, so as I mentioned to you, Manoj, if you look at for us this time, normally our growth historically, if I take the full year, the first 2-3 quarters are very strong in T1, T2. But in the quarter that's gone by, the quarter for which the results have been declared, we saw a sharper demand come also slightly maybe because of a base effect coming from the T3, T4, T5 towns. Manoj, have I answered your question? Manoj, am I audible?
Sir, you're audible. Manoj, sir, we are not able to hear you.
Yeah. Yes, Rajiv. Actually, I think, Hemant, I think you probably got the response what you wanted from the management. Let me move on to the next question, in the text option, which is from Rahul Kumar Paliwal. He says, so I'm just reading out, it's a long one. Akzo Nobel considered the finest paint in India and the world, but the brand image, particularly in India, Asian Paints has an edge with reach, distribution and reference points. What is stopping Akzo Nobel from cracking the code? Why is such super quality having relatively low mind share and market share? And how, as a leader, you're handling it? Sir, I just read it verbatim.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for that, Rahul. Well, if I had the secret mantra, trust me, I would have already deployed it. But suffice to say, look, I think to be fair to the leader in the market, it's a journey over the last 2-3 decades. I joined in 2013. Market shares were pretty much where they are, maybe a couple of points lower, 52%. Right? So I think the question which is in our mind is really how do you get the brand? Now the strength of this brand, since you're referring to Dulux, is about quality. So we started a program called Dulux Assurance 1.0, where we gave a money back warranty to consumers. We got some fantastic response, and after launching that program, we've not seen back. We are going to bring a 2.0 very shortly, and I don't want to talk about it because this is not the forum, but suffice to say, in a few months, we are coming with something even more powerful. Right? Now, when we do that, and you're absolutely right, our A&P as a percent of our revenue had dipped over the years to almost 1.7, whereas the other players are about 3 and 3.5%. Right? I think our intent is to get back to 3.5 immediately, so that we are seen, we are visible, and not just on media spends, but also on visibility in the market. And then over the next 2-3 years, try and sizably grow it. The third is 70% of the growth over the last many quarters, last 2-3 years, have come in from 3 categories. Has come in from mass market, waterproofing, and economy. If you look at, if I take 5 years ago, we were not really playing aggressively in mass. We had not even started the waterproofing journey, and we were very weak in economy. Right? In 2018, when I got back, we put the waterproofing range. I had started some work before I left for Dubai, but really started it seriously, and now we are a serious player. I can't reveal the exact numbers, but suffice to say that we are growing at almost 40% CAGR in that category. Mass markets, we've had good growth, but in the last quarter gone by, it has not been to my expectation. I think we could have gone a little better, which is where some of our competitors fared a bit better. And on economy range, honestly, I think there's a lot of work to be done. So we are working on this plan. We are clear in terms of where the growth is coming from, which are the segments it's coming from, which are the players which are relatively doing well. We've been traveling ourselves as a management team and also keeping our ears to the ground. So we believe that, look, we will have the sort of winning formula. But again, we are going to go, given the fact that we are a number 4 player, and for us, as we do it, as you've seen over the last many years, profitability is an important parameter. One of the things I don't want to do, is the fact that I dilute significantly the profitability. When I joined the business in 2013, the return on sales was 5%. Today it's almost 12.5%, including royalty. Right now, you compare that with some of the other players in the market, you'll see what I'm saying. We want to remain profitable because that's what will give us the energy and power to be able to reinvest in our brands and business. So I think it's not an easy answer, particularly when you're coming from a position that you were. But what I can suffice and say is I've got great confidence, as I have in the last many quarters, and you've seen in our full year results that we are a serious player, and you will see us, bouncing back with all the ingredients that you say we have, right? Really coming back. Yeah. So that's what I want to really say.
Thank you, Rajiv. Faizan, I find Chanchal there on the question queue. Can we take the questions in the audio, and then we can step back to anything in the text? Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chanchal Khandelwal from Birla. Please go ahead.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
you're
Chanchal,
audible.
you're audible.
Hi, thanks, Rajiv. Firstly, let me congratulate you because the company at what position it is today is basically because of you, because people make the company. That's my firm belief. So congrats on good set of numbers which you have been delivering, and the turnaround is reasonable which you have seen. Now my question, Rajiv, is that firstly, in public domain, your contract with Akzo continues till how long? It's important for us to know. You are here for next 5 years, or how long it is important for us to know. Secondly, on the growth part, as you spoke about economy and value segment and waterproofing, all this put together is how much is a percentage of sale? How much is the industrial business as a percentage of sales? Because where I'm coming from is that given the increase in competition in decorative, a lot of people will eye industrial as a market, including your MNC competitor. So I'm just trying to understand how is it, because that market is growing well, industrial is doing well for now, how big you are and what is your right to win there? That's the second part of the question. And third question is that the support from the parent, has it changed in last 3-4 years, or you are getting that more confident that you are getting big support from the parent? Thank you.
Yeah, so let me start in the reverse order, if it's okay with all of you. Yeah, so I'll start in the reverse order. First, in a more local market, if your parent doesn't bless you, or you don't have the blessings of your parent, it's easy to win, right? I just want to start to be fair to people that Akzo had a journey well before Thierry joined of 15/20. Our previous CEO Thierry Van Lancker, and he was committed to it because when he took over, his predecessor had left the position because of ill health, and as a result, some of the actions we took between 2018 and 2020 were action of 15/20 of how to move the company to a 15% loss by 2020, something that the company achieved superlatively. Yeah. Now coming to your second part, as I mentioned to you, Greg was in India for a couple of days. He's the first CEO who was chosen to come to India before visiting Europe or even China. I think that sends a message, if not to the street, at least to me, right? He spent 2 days. I must tell you, I was with him, except for the time when he went to his room to sleep at night, almost virtually with him. I've never seen a person who's been so excited to run a business in India. By the way, just for your records, Greg used to be the CEO of what is called the GE Alstom business, which is the power business of GE in India. So, Greg knows inside out of India My biggest challenge was, what do I tell him about India, which he doesn't know, because he seemed to know the big business houses, he seemed to know cities, he seemed to know what is doing well, and he seemed to know that in a very detailed manner, in a very granular manner, right? His message for me was, Rajiv, you ask me the money, I'm going to give you the support. It's very different in terms of tonality from what I've heard in the past, for whatever constraints they were, because of the strategic options that Akzo Nobel was pursuing. Greg is taking time around to craft his strategy. He believes that India, we can play a serious role. And before really looking at a massive M&A or any other option, he wants us to demonstrate that we are able to invest in our business and grow our business, which is something that we are also committed to. So that's the last question. Second, in terms of reverse order, industrial business accounts for about 35 to 38%, almost 40% of our overall turnover. The business is doing well, but do we have a right to win? Yes. Remember, I ran the largest business of B2B in Middle East Africa, Dubai, because we've got customers like Aramco, Nakilat, which is your LNG gas terminals, Abu Dhabi oil company, all these were our customers, L&T. We've got the same relationships in India. What I'm glad is our team is building on some of the relationships and leads. We're all working as one Akzo Nobel now. We've got a one Akzo Nobel in India now, which works with me and with Krishna to really bring out the power of the top 15 business houses that we do as one Akzo Nobel. And we are fairly confident that this businesses over the next 3 years as India builds its infrastructure. Just to give you an example, many of you have been to the Bangalore airport, new airport too. Just to let you know, we've also done that work, right? So a lot of that work we've also been a participant, right? So just to suffice to say, when I look at some of the projects we are winning and some of them being world class, yeah, we are right up there. So I see no reason. Our right to win is our technology. Our right to win is our global expertise. Our right to win is brands like International Interpon and Seekins, right? Which we believe are world-class brands. I've had the experience for 2.5 years of working with the brands and seeing strong customer alliances that we have. We are blessed to have alliances with companies like M&M, etc., Bajaj. Yeah, we are really taking some of our customer relationships really meaningful. So that's on the other part. On the paints part, yeah, suffice to say that we are doing well. There are certain challenges, and I think my view is, as far as paints is concerned, Chanchal, as we move forward, you will see that some of the journeys that I've been working through all of you on our investor meets calls will start fructifying. Coming to the last part, which was more of your question to me. Look, the contract with Akzo Nobel as a managing director is a separate part. I'm a full-time employee, right? So now, in terms of tenure, I think that's for Akzo Nobel to come back. My tenure ends only in October. I'm sure Akzo Nobel has its heart in the right place. They understand India is a serious market. They understand the intensity of competition. And let me also give all the investors that 2 people who've trained under me are getting ready for future roles. Because also from a next 2-3 year horizon perspective, there are people who are sort of working with me, who are getting international exposure and India exposure at this point of time, strong leaders, etc., and we'll sort of do, right? One point I forgot to mention on paints is that in premium, we are leaders. We are almost a number 2 player in even paints, with almost, if you include, the wall paints, including primers of premium, we're almost at 16%, otherwise 18% market share. And we believe that we've got a right to win because of the brand and whatever other, kind words you all have said. Yeah. So on my stuff, it's procedural. Don't worry. I'm sure Akzo Nobel will at the right point of time. But again, hey, we are all professionals. This is a very professionally run company. And believe you and me, Chanchal, I would have failed in my duty if this company is completely depending on a one-man army. Honestly, all the kind words all of you said really needs a serious thought if this company is going to be run. I run, the way I run is, for example, when I set up, launch 4G for Airtel, I'm sure Gopal will tell you that when I left, it was the least disruption because I ensured that the transitions were so smooth that the business from 5,000-6,000 crores that I set up is today almost 40,000 crores, right? So to me, that's really the proof of the pudding, that you set strong processes and procedures where teams after you are able to take it and sustain it. You feel proud. I feel proud of the organizations, whether it's Hindustan Lever or Castrol or Airtel that I worked with. And of course, Akzo Nobel is my single largest tenure company now, right? So, rest assured, I have Dulux at heart. Just one thing, I will never join a competitor, right? To be very clear, and I'm right now in love with my job, and unless Akzo Nobel has some other thoughts, I'm very much here, and I'm going to engage with all of you along with Krishna very soon, even in a physical meet in an investor call. So hopefully I've answered all your questions, Chanchal.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Rajiv.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Avi Mehta from Macquarie. Please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, hi. Thanks and congratulations on this performance, Rajiv. Thanks for the earlier clarification. Honestly, that was one of the questions that I also had, which Chanchal asked about, whether you are kind of continuing or not, but I think your answer is clear on that. I just wanted to kind of delve on two specific aspects on your strategy. One, you have last few quarters have been great in terms of your ability to drive profitability back up, but you pointed towards the need of focusing on raising ad spends to levels that you have seen in peers. In such a scenario, and given this changing entry of a new player, plus our parents' guidance, how should we look at margins going forward from where we exited in 4Q? Is that a run rate that we can sustain, or do you feel the need for investments will probably mean that further expansion is likely to be limited? Would love to hear your thoughts on that. And associated, if you could also, one of the strategic drivers that you pointed to was, sorry, I'll probably ask the second question later. Maybe you could kind of give your thoughts on the first one, please.
Yeah. So look, at this point of time, it's not fair for me to give a forward-looking statement, but I'll give you Krishna and I have largely been telling the corporate that we will want to hold EBIT margins because we believe that we are in the zone, as they call it in cricket, where we believe we can lift the trophy. Right? So we are in that zone where now for us, building scale takes precedence over driving one leg, which is driving profitability. Suffice to say, with new competition, we do, like other players, expect a couple of margin points, pressure on basically two things: irrational discounting or pricing in the market, right? But we are working strategies there. How can we avoid it? Stronger positions in premium.
Sorry, am I audible? Hello?
Yes.
Seem to have
Yes,
lost
hear us?
Yeah.
Yes,
Sorry,
sir.
I think I dropped. Your line dropped in between, but you were guiding towards.
Yeah. So I'm saying that, look, so as far as EBIT margins are concerned, we've committed a double-digit profitability. We don't see any dilution, but yeah, we do see a bit of challenge. Our endeavor is to hold the margins where they are right now, right, with and not really with improving. If for example, crude is benign, etc., we want to now really focus in terms of winning in the market. That's really, and growth, to be honest. That's where the focus of the team is. If I've answered your question here, Avi.
No, that's clear. That's clear. The second bit that I wanted to kind of just delve on was on, one of the strategic drivers that you pointed to was distribution expansion. Now, I understand, would you have any, targets in mind in terms of city count or in terms of reach that you would like to reach, say, 2 years down the line or a year down the line? I don't know. How do you kind of look at this, just to get the team focused on, a particular number, if you have something in mind over there?
Avi, so I can give you some broad numbers. See, when you look at number of outlets for every company, the definition is very different. We are very stringent in putting a revenue measure. Okay, the reason I put a revenue measure, I say for example, minimum 50,000 rupees from an outlet for an outlet to be considered active. So if I give you a number of outlets, it's very different from another player who may not have similar definitions. So when I also have now started realizing that when people look at the definitions are different by different, it's not a standardized definition. So let me put in terms of number of towns. I think in terms of number of towns, as I said, our endeavor is to cross 8,000 towns in a couple of years, and then say how do we really start moving to close to 9,000 towns. Yeah? So really, I think in the next 2 years, from the current 4.8 to 5,000 towns, to really say that how do we really in a meaningful manner reach the next 8,000 towns. As I mentioned to all of you, we started what is called hub and spoke after a distributor sort of steady You've seen we've been in our distributor journey since 2014, right? 6 years we've run it. I started setting it up in 2013. So 14 to 23 is a long journey, 9 years, right? And now we are doing the version 2, which is really how do you get a little more into the smaller towns, right? Or smaller, into the rural markets, right? So that's what we are working on, Avi, and hopefully that answers your question.
No, that's very useful, and I look forward to kind of interacting with you more often on these calls. Thanks a lot, Rajiv, for everything till now. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Tejas Shah from Avendus Spark. Please go ahead.
Hi, Tejas.
Mr. Shah, please unmute your line from your side if muted.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible. Please go ahead with your question.
Yeah. Hi, Rajiv. Thanks for the opportunity. Rajiv, if we see the evaluation of product portfolio of most paint players in last few years, it has been largely around, I would say, on adjacency side in terms of waterproofing, in terms of construction chemical. So just wanted to know where are we in that journey, and how do you see adjacency playing role in growth ahead for us?
Yeah, so as I said, waterproofing, we entered pretty late in 2018. We have a CAGR growth since then of almost 48%, 49% to be honest, and in the last years of almost 39%, right? We have started entering many segments, whether it's liquid waterproofing, whether it's applied systems. So other than membranes, we will be entering almost all categories in the next 1 year. You'll see some action on it between now and early next year, right? So we believe that our challenge was there are two things in this sort of a business. It's not just about the sale. It's also about service, right? So, and one of the good things we learned from the lead player in the market is how do you really set up the entire service model to be able to be very meaningful in this business, right? So, given some of our background, right, and some of the team's members that I hired, right, we've been able to set up, a good system to be able to make sure that we are completely sort of able to capture the customer voice and be able to address customer queries rapidly. We have started this in a meaningful way only in a few cities because we want to really test waters before we go it. Are we a serious player? Yes, we are a serious player, and you will see us participating in this category very meaningfully. Our attempt is, like in most things, we want to be in the top 3 in the next 3 years. That's really our endeavor, right? It's not that the other 3 existing top 3 players are also, I'm sure, going to be very aggressive. We are mindful of that and very respectful of that, but we are very serious that we really want to get into the top 3 bracket. And as a result, whatever we do in our adjacencies and other categories have to be accretive to our eventual goal.
Sure, that's very helpful. Second, we have kind of an inherent strength on the premium side of the portfolio, but at the same time, there has been a long-standing kind of vacancy in the mass end of our portfolio, and we have attempted in last 10 years. I have seen 2-3 attempts which have been made to correct that deficit in the portfolio. So where are we in terms of today, in terms of catering the mass end of the demand, and what will be the saliency of that part of the portfolio in overall revenue today?
So look, I don't talk about category contribution to revenue because that's, I think, something that we don't talk about, but I'll give you sufficient information in terms of what we've done. You're right. When I joined the company, we had 2 brands. We had Promise and Rainbow. Coming with the sort of background I have, you cannot in mass play with a single brand. So we moved to Promise, and in 2020 post-COVID, we moved to launching Promise Smart Choice into entering the economy. Where are we? We believe that we started getting huge inroads, which is the reason why we've been able to access or gain ingress into many small towns and into many outlets, right? So that's really been the success. I generally think it's going to be very accretive. I do think that that's one category that we are keeping in. It is the profit pool of many of the larger players. So obviously, for us to play a meaningful role and even dream of being in the top 3, we have to have a meaningful market share. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, but would that be margin dilutive, that journey of gaining market share in that part of the business?
Look, I think what we've done is over a period of time, our margins when we sort of started the journey to now we've really been able to address and bring it close to our average contribution margins, right? So, when I started the journey and I joined this company, mass used to trade at almost 15 points lower. Now it's almost coming equal. So don't worry. I think that's something that we will try and maintain. Even if it's little dilutive, it's, as I said, we are very clear of the EBIT guidelines we work.
Perfect. And then last one, if I may. Very broader level question on how the industry is evolving and the kind of competition we are seeing from adjacent players and new players also. So do you think that this calls a very, makes a case for some consolidation in industry, either incumbents like you acquiring smaller players, or there has to be some consolidation between big players? What are your broader thoughts in the industry looking at next 5-10 years from here on?
Look, I can't talk specifically of this industry because we have to wait to see how the picture pans out, right? As they say, picture abhi baki hai mere dost. But all I can say is that you look at different sectors that I have been privileged to work with, say telecom, etc., or even in the FMCG space. Or if you look at now cement, there is some consolidation happening, right? But again, consolidation has to come with what is the strategic advantage that will bring in. Once that is answered, then it makes strategic sense, then it's worth doing it. Otherwise, really, it's adding more, without any meat in what you add, right? So we'll be careful. As a player, we are very choosy on what we do. We've taken the harder journey of, moving through organic growth and working on our top line, and that's what we'll continue to do. And we will keep, all options open. I'm certain our global parent is also keeping all options open. As you know, they have acquired the Kansai business in Africa, and that's a case in point to say that, we are an agile, focused player, and we want serious positions in markets like in India.
Sure. Wish you all the best for the rest of the picture. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, sir, Aniruddha here. Some questions from my side. So in this quarter, we have seen there was extreme winter in early part of January, and also there were unseasonal rains, especially in North India. So has that impacted our exterior paints offtake during this quarter, and do we see some shift of revenues happening to, let's say, the coming quarter? And the second question is, now obviously with correction in input prices, it is expected that the rebates or the trade discounts are likely to increase significantly. So how do you see the on-ground situation as far as this is concerned? And third is, some of the paint companies have also announced that they want to get more closer to the influencers, that is painter and contractor, and some of the schemes, trade discounts will be directed towards these influencers. So what is Akzo's strategy in this regard? Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Yeah, okay. So let me just try. So the first question was around the winter. Look, winter was there. Yes, it rained in a few places. However, the exterior paints, on an average, if you look at our premium, which exterior is a large part, premium did very well. Exterior, we had some challenges in a few states in the mass market, not so much in the premium side, right? So that's the first. The second, really, your second question was around. Your second question was. I now know your third question, but what was the second question? Just remind me.
So with correction in input prices, there is likely rebate.
Yeah. No, so that was the third question. Anyway, so rebates, yes. Look, there is a aggression by some of the players. Obviously, we will respond in a measured manner and in a sensible manner. See, when you run a business, you have to do it for the long term, right? So we will take positions. There are certain parts of the portfolio where you will need to respond. Certain parts of the portfolio will play to the strength. Yeah, so that's what our approach has been. We've not shied away from taking price increases ahead of the market, and we will continue to look at, making sure that what we do is a long-term play, not a short-term play. Yeah? I missed one question of yours, which, your painter and contractor. Yeah, your painter contractor. Yes, we've already got. Look, I think we've got now systems by which direct payouts can happen. We've started barcode. We've got painter app. So we are very digital as far as painters and contractors are concerned. So yeah, I believe that's the competitive advantage. I hope I've answered all your questions. Can we have the last couple of questions, please? Because I'm mindful of the fact we've just got about 7-8 minutes left.
Sure. So Manoj here. Sir, let me take a couple of questions from the Q&A. So we have one from Shivika Shimal of FSSA, which is first take. Okay, she asks, with new competitors coming in, all incumbents are focusing on the premium end of the decorative paints, which has been a sweet spot for Akzo, being over-indexed with Dulux. Are you seeing any changes in competitive intensity or in the margin structure of the segment?
So in premium, look, their competitive intensity has always been high, but I think we got a right to win because Dulux stands for the best-in-class quality international, right? And to me, those are propositions which give you a competitive advantage, right? So, really honestly, you can, discounts dramatically don't change premium sales as much as it does in the mass and economy. But really advertising and brand building does impact. Yeah? So those are areas we're working on to still bring the magic of Dulux back. As I said, for us, the entire fund is about really saying how can we bring the magic of paint into the can, right? So really, how do we get that magic of paint sort of quickly, into a growth ambition is what we are really working on, and we've got some solid plans by which you will see some thought leadership is coming in the premium segment as we move ahead on both innovation, product differentiators as we start moving ahead. Hopefully, answer your question.
I reckon yes. Shivika, if you're there listening to the call, you can message me. If there is some follow-up you need. Let me just check, sir. Is there anything else on the Q&A? Okay, so there's a question from Utkarsh Solapurwala. What's your current capacity utilization and capex plans for FY24?
So our current capacity utilization, depending on Manoj, is close to around 60%. The reason is because we've put a lot of automation into our plants. We've automated significantly. We are only running 2 shifts now. It's best in class. If you visit any of our plants and see some of our, the other peers, etc., you will see it's a true blue MNC. In fact, I would say Akzo Nobel India plants would be, even in Asia, would be some of the best in class in terms of automation. We've got things like IoT, AI already implemented in our plants, which is significantly leagues ahead of what the other players are. And hence, we believe that, adding capacity over the next couple of years with increasing volumes will come by sweating our assets and hence improving our return on capital employed. In terms of expansion, we are obviously, as I said, increasing our footprint in both powder, paint, and some of the other business as we move forward. Capacity addition is not a challenge for us. We'll be able to do it fast. As I said, we are running 2 shifts. We can plug and play a 3rd shift, and then we can plug and play additional capacity as we go. Our focus has been saying how do we automate, how do we really make sure we are sweating our asset right now. Manoj?
Yes, sir. I'm just browsing through the Q&A. Maybe we'll take one last question. Okay, so Lakshmi Narayanan KG from Tunga Investments is asking you, what are the top 3 strategic priorities for Akzo senior management for the next 3 to 5 years? Please help with some quantitative as well as qualitative inputs.
Well, I think that's a very difficult question, and I'm not sure whether I should be addressing such questions in public. But suffice to say, we want to be a meaningful player in the India market. We are number 4 player. We are perhaps one of the few players in any industry in India at number 4, which is significantly profitable. Our profitability in the year has even been ahead of some of our senior peers. And due respect to them, they had credible business, solid businesses, which we also envy with pride, but still want to fight in the market, right? So our endeavor is how do we really move our position from 4 to 3 and then sort of slowly upwards. Right? That's really the game, organically and at a moment of time inorganically. In terms of EBIT margins, I've already told you we want to remain in double digits over profitability. We believe that we've got the right ingredients. Our mix had been always skewed towards premium. I think for us it's about the single mantra is growth. how do we really start growing in a accretive manner as we start moving in. Yeah, so the growth should be something which is sustainable. Yeah, so it's sustained growth, and that's where really me and my team and Krishna are spending a lot of time saying that it's not about this quarter, next quarter, yeah, those that will come and go as we've seen many quarters now, Manoj. I've been on the investor call since 2018, November when I took over with Goa first, and then with Arshi in 2019-20 with Goa, Arshi, and then with Arshi, Krishna. Right? So I've been through this. It's about building a sustainable business.
Thank you, Rajiv, Krishna and Harshi. Yeah, very much. Thank you, Rajiv, Krishna and Harshi. Exactly 5 o'clock now. Appreciate your time. Any further questions, we will relay it to you. Thank you so much. And
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for taking time out to join. Wish all of you a wonderful day and a week ahead. And thank you for taking the time out. Again, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ICICI Securities Limited, that concludes this webinar. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.